The WWE, it stands for World Wrestling Entertainment. So it's no surprise that World Wrestling Entertainment has fantastic superstars from all over the world. From just about every corner of the planet, we have WWE superstars putting their bodies on the line to entertain the likes of you and me. So today we're gonna go back to geography class and we're gonna figure out who is the best WWE superstar from every country. Now mind you, if your country isn't on the list, there's a good chance there just wasn't a prominent WWE superstar to come out of that country. And it was slim picking for some and very difficult for others. Hey, as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. We upload daily wrestling content, so if you're looking for wrestling videos, this is the place to be. Let's start off with Scotland. There was a little bit of competition in terms of WWE superstars from Scotland. We have the likes of Doudrop, Kylie Ray, Isla Dawn, the Gallus Bros. We have Nikki Cross, but I ultimately ended up going with the Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre, one of the best workers in the WWE today, and he has a phenomenal story from riches to rags back to riches. WWE champion, most likely going to end up in the WWE Hall of Fame someday. Absolutely deserved. The Scottish psychopath, the best WWE superstar to do it from Scotland. Next up, we have India. And from India, we have the likes of Veer Mahan that we could have gone with. Potentially Shanky is Indian, but to me, it was an easy choice. We ended up going with the Great Khali. Some of you might be thinking, well, why isn't Jinder Mahal on this list? Jinder Mahal isn't Indian. He's Indian heritage. He's actually Canadian, so he doesn't fall under the Indian banner for this video. But the Great Khali, he's a Hall of Famer, been in some pretty good movies. I gotta give him that. And you know what? Former world champion. Is he my favorite? Not necessarily, but he's the best India's got to offer. Next, let's go Austria. And this one was easy. You knew I was gonna go with the ring general Gunther, who is on probably the greatest intercontinental championship run of all time. I think he's gonna go down as the greatest intercontinental champion of all time. He still has plenty of years left to his body, and I think he's going to win a few world championships here or there. Don't be surprised if Gunther the Ring General ends up in the WWE Hall of Fame someday. Ghana. And since we're doing Ghana, I'm gonna pick Kofi Kingston. That was a bad joke. Anyways, yeah, of course, another WWE Hall of Famer here, former WWE champion. He's likely going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame someday in two ways, as a singles wrestler, as well as his work with the New Day. So an absolutely legendary wrestler out of Ghana, even though he pretended to be out of Jamaica for a few years there. Albania. I gotta be honest with you, Albania, there was like no one. I think this is Razar. Is this Razar? Now I have to just double check. Yes, it is Razar from the Authors of Pain. Hey, you know what? But half of one of the greatest NXT Black and Gold champions of all time. So yeah, that's something. Argentina. If I could have found a reason to put Lionel Messi here, I definitely would have. Unfortunately for Argentina, the best you've got is John Gonzalez. Yeah. Australia. There was a little bit of competition here. We have the likes of Buddy Murphy. We also have Bronson Reed, Grayson Waller. But ultimately, I ended up going with Rhea Bloody Ripley, who is on track to be one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time to ever do it in the WWE. She's still in her 20s, and she already has the resume of a WWE Hall of Famer. She already has a stronger resume than many of the women that have already been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Everyone else that I mentioned, they're great athletes, don't get me wrong. So there's a lot of great young wrestlers out of Australia today, but it ultimately comes down to the youngest of all of them, who I think is doing the most in the world of professional wrestling today, in Rhea Bloody Ripley, or Bloody Rhea Ripley. She adds bloody somewhere in there. I just don't remember when. Next up, we have England. And England has a huge crop of great WWE superstars, but to me, it came down to two legendary figures. It came down to Davey Boy Smith, aka the British Bulldog, or the person that I ended up going with because of their further contributions to the world of professional wrestling after their time in the squared circle, and that is Mr. William Regal War Games, who had a fantastic resume and career in the ring, but then would go on to shape the legacy of professional wrestling for many years to come with, for example, his son, who is following in his footsteps, but also the many wrestlers who came out of NXT who credit William Regal Regal in his mind for how they shape themselves to be professional wrestlers. And he's, of course, trained many iconic wrestlers that we already know and love, like the likes of Daniel Bryan. But yeah, like it was a tough choice, but I had to go with William Regal here. Next up is Bulgaria. Not too many options here, but the one option that we had was a pretty good one. We have Rusev, aka Miro, currently in AEW, who seems to be the most underappreciated, underutilized talent on both companies, in the WWE and in AEW. They just don't seem to be using him right, and he is a tremendously talented brute. I love Rusev. I loved his run as US champion. I loved his feud with John Cena. That WrestleMania 31 entrance, I'll never forget that goddamn tank to the Russian national anthem. So good. I had to go with Rusev here, not even close. Oh, Canada, baby. I gotta be honest with you, Canada was the second hardest one because there are so many legendary WWE superstars to be from Canada. We have the likes of Chris Jericho. We have Kevin Owens, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Sami Zayn. Ultimately, I ended up going with not Christian, but his best friend. I ended up going with my boy, Edge, Adam Copeland, who has an unbelievable resume in the world of the WWE. He has some absolutely phenomenal matches under his belt. He is still operating at such a high caliber, even though he just turned 50. Like, this man is an absolute machine, and he is one of the greatest to ever do it. Arguably the greatest heel to come out of the Ruthless Aggression era, in my opinion. One of the most despicable, hateable guys ever. It took me such a long time to come around to liking Edge in his later years because he just rubbed me the wrong way when I was a kid starting to get into wrestling, because he was just so good at his job. Edge is an absolute legend of the business, but everyone else that I mentioned there from Canada could have definitely had a running for this. This is Chile, not Texas. I had to double check because this looks like the Texas flag. And if I have any Chileans, I'm sorry, but like the most notable WWE superstar to come out of Chile is Snooki from the Jersey Shore, who was born in Santiago de Chile, and she had a prominent match at WrestleMania 27, teaming up with Trish Stratus and John Morrison. Yeah, what do you want me to say, man? Like, this is what you got, Chile. Be proud of it. China, not much going on here in terms of WWE superstars. I could see this being potentially a hotbed for wrestlers down the line, but for right now, the most prominent WWE superstar to come out of China is Xia Li, who's not really doing much as of the making of this video. She is a constant contributor to Main Event, which is the sideshow B show to Monday Night Raw. Next up, we have Croatia, and from Croatia, we have one of the original foreign heels in the WWE in the 80s and WWE Hall of Famer Nikolai Volkov, who would pretend to be from the USSR and sing the Soviet national anthem, even though he was from Croatia. Cuba. There really weren't any prominent like WWE superstars from Cuba. I included Conan because he was born in Cuba, even though he was like barely in the WWE. I think he had like 3 appearances in the 90s, but he's always been very adamant about never working for the WWE. But hell, I decided to include him since he's been part of the lexicon in the conversation recently as being the one who inducted Rey Mysterio into the WWE Hall of Fame. Also, I completely mistakenly believe that he was Mexican because he was such an integral part of Rey Mysterio's training during his time in Mexico. But yeah, it turns out he's Cuban. The Netherlands. Not too many options in terms of WWE superstars from the Netherlands, but we do have a very prominent one, that being Aleister Black, a fantastic NXT champion who was severely misutilized on the main roster in the WWE and is now having a wonderful career over in AEW. He's one of the guys I would love to see back in the WWE one day. He is incredibly talented in a very, very unique worker who has just such a cool style of wrestling as well. That style of wrestling, that like kind of combo MMA style and shoot WWE style, combined with his like very dark, somewhat supernatural gimmick, I think is an absolute wonderful combination. Fiji. Turns out they make more than just water. They also made Jimmy Superfly Snuka. He did some terrible things, but he's a good wrestler. France. Not too many options out of France, but the one option that we did have is one of the greatest men to ever do it, and that is Andre the Giant, one of the first real superstars in the world of professional wrestling, an absolute icon, somebody that it was must-see in person, must-see television, obviously the first ever WWE Hall of Famer. We have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. This man has left a lasting legacy in the sport, a lasting legacy that that will be felt for the next 30, 40, 50, 100 years. Buddy Rogers was said to be German, but he was born in the United States from what I could tell. So the most prominent WWE superstar to come from Germany, as far as my research was able to find, was Ludwig Kaiser, the Rizzler himself. Ludwig Kaiser, who is a fantastic character worker in today's WWE. He's up there with some of the best in-ring facial expression actors and body expression actors in the WWE. He's a great in-ring talent as well, and he works his role of the henchman to the ring general to perfection. I really do genuinely love Ludwig Kaiser, and one day I would love to see perhaps tag team gold on him. Greece, there's no one, but I found this picture of Giannis Antetokounmpo holding a WWE championship, so I figured I'd give my Greek folks something. Iran, this one's easy, and it literally was not even close. It's Cheeky, baby. Fuck the Hulk Hogan. Ireland. There were a lot of heavy hitters in this list. This was one of the tougher ones. We have the likes of Finn Balor here. We have Finlay, JD McDonough, Becky Lynch. Ultimately, I ended up going with the one man who's furthest along in his career, who really paved the way, and I'm going with Sheamus. Sheamus, first ballot Hall of Famer, has done it all basically in the WWE, from being a Royal Rumble winner to having a world title match at WrestleMania, tag titles. Like, literally, this man has done it all, multi-time world champion, and still in his deep 8 parts of his career at 45, he's still putting on absolute banger after banger after banger after banger. Sheamus is just an everlasting gobstopper. The man just doesn't stop. Israel, not a lot of options out of Israel, but we have Noam Dar, who was born in Israel. He is also Scottish, by the way, by nationality, but from what I was able to find, he was born in Israel, so I lumped him into this category here. And he is such an absolutely fantastic worker in NXT. He is the current Heritage Cup champion as of the making of this video, and he, to me, is so entertaining in the ring, and even his character work, he's so annoying. So goddamn annoying. I want to punch him in the nose. That's a compliment because he's so goddamn good at his heel job. Italy. Well, of course, I wanted to go with Santino Marella, but of course he's Canadian, pretending to be Italian. But even if Santino was actually Italian, the choice was pretty clear to me. It's Bruno Sammartino, the original GOAT of professional wrestling. When you think, all right, who are the GOATs of professional wrestling? If we look at them by era, he is the first person to really ever unanimously win the title of greatest of all time in the WWE. So we have to give him his props where props are due. My man, the Italian stallion. Japan. Few options here as well. I could have gone Antonio Inoki based out of technicality because he was in the WWE for like a day, but we didn't end up including him because he didn't really have a proper run in the WWE. There were a couple that have had proper runs in the WWE, but ultimately I feel like the most successful Japanese WWE superstar to do it in the WWE is Asuka, based on her body of work, the great matches that she's put on, the accolades that she's had. The close runner-up was Shinsuke Nakamura, but as much as I do love Nakamura and his in-ring work, he pales in comparison in terms of what he's been able to accomplish in the WWE compared to Asuka. Lithuania, of course, the legendary Oksana, because I know you all remember Oksana. Teddy Long's girlfriend that was stolen by Cesaro. No, not ringing any bells. Okay. At least she's pretty. Mexico. All right, folks, get your pitchforks out because the best Mexican-born wrestler to ever do it is Alberto Del Rio, Alberto El Patron. Listen, before you start screaming Eddie Guerrero, before you start screaming Rey Mysterio, they were both born in the United States of Mexican heritage. I'm only going based on like where they were born, all right? So Alberto Del Rio, born and raised in Mexico, bit his teeth into the craft of professional wrestling in Mexico. Probably the next best one to do it might be somebody like Andrade, but for the most part, the major Mexican-American WWE superstars that have had fame and fortune in the WWE have all been born in the United States. Meanwhile, Alberto Del Rio, born and raised in Mexico, although, you know, if he hadn't have done all the terrible stuff that he's done, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, if you think about it, like He's done 2 WrestleMania world title matches. He has won a Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, multiple world titles. This man has the resume of a wrestling god. His character was absolutely fantastic. Like, I know a lot of people just boil it down to Mexican JBL, but whatever, it worked super well. Coming out with the cars, his own personal ring announcer, the Mexican aristocrat. I thought that it was fantastic. He has one of the best entrance themes ever. Everything about the package of Alberto Del Rio was bred for success, and he had that success in the WWE. Moldova, I think? Yeah, I'm just gonna double check. It's Moldova. It is Moldova, okay. Not many options for Moldova, but I wanted to give my one Moldovan viewer some love here and let you know that Marina Shafir is from Moldova and like the only WWE superstar to ever come from Moldova. And yeah, she didn't really do much. She was in NXT for a while. She was part of the 4 Horsewomen of MMA, if you can remember that. I think at some point there was supposed to be a big call-up of all these women to the WWE. Never really ended up happening. I think she's also married to Roderick Strong, who is doing some great work over in AEW, and she's over in AEW as well. Australia. Just kidding. I know this is New Zealand. I just know that's going to piss a lot of you guys off. For New Zealand, I had to go with my girl Dakota Kai. The only other one that's really in consideration is Toni Storm, but she didn't really get to do too much in the WWE. She was heavily misutilized in the main roster when she was called up. She's doing great things over in AEW Women's World Champion, but I'm strictly talking WWE superstars and what they've accomplished within the WWE, and Dakota Kai is the most successful and probably the most recognizable WWE superstar to come out of New Zealand. Upside down Indonesia, aka Poland. Ready to have your mind blown? The Nigerian commander Aziz is Polish. I learned this throughout the making of this video. Turns out the man was born and raised in Poland, even though he played a Nigerian general, and he goes by the name of Daba Kato now in NXT, having a feud right now, I believe, with Tyler Bate. Either way, yeah, this is the best product to come out of Poland. Russia. This Russian WWE superstar is currently one of my favorites to be doing it right now. I think he is absolutely phenomenal, and he is an absolute megastar. He is the Dragon, Ilya Dragunov. I think he is long due for a main roster call-up. He is doing just some mind-bogglingly amazing work in NXT. He already has a Hall of Fame worthy body of record and body of matches in NXT and NXT UK. Just go watch his amazing matches with the likes of Carmelo Hayes, Bron Breakker, and Dominik Dijakovic, and of course Walter, aka Gunther. Like, this man just puts on so many freaking unbelievable, mind-melting, eyeballs drippingly good matches. You need to go watch some Ilya Dragunov over in NXT if you haven't done so already, but I don't think you need to wait long for him to be on the main roster in the WWE. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You have one person. It's Mansoor, or Mansoor, as he's now a male model. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, this is what you got, Saudi Arabia. South Africa. For this, it was easy. I have one of my favorite high flyers to do it in Justin Gabriel, a man who was highly underutilized and underappreciated in the WWE. Of course, best known for the NXT Invasion angle when he was part of the Nexus, destroy the WWE, attack John Cena, was in that main event with John Cena, was one of the last 2 members of the Nexus left, if I'm remembering correctly, and has a beautiful finisher in that 450 splash. But yeah, Justin Gabriel, the best product to come out of South Africa. Spain. You ready to have your mind absolutely blown? Because I only learned this from making this video, and I would have never guessed this in a million years, because for some reason I figured he maybe one day would run for president. Turns out he can't, because he wasn't born in the United States. Mayor Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, was born in Spain. I was today years old when I learned this. I did not see that coming. Yeah, Kane, one of the greatest character workers of all time, an absolute legend of the business, WWE Hall of Famer, and multi-time world champion. Like, this man literally did it all except really get to win the big ones and be the face of the company. But yeah, he is synonymous with the growth of the WWE from the Attitude Era up until the current era. Like, Kane is such a vital and important wrestler and character and mentor in the WWE. Switzerland, not a lot of options. We have Cesaro, another heavily underutilized WWE talent that a lot of people felt he should be world champion. I'm of the mind that, like, had he been world champion, he would have just been a forgettable transitional champion that we would really be remembering. I don't know if it'd be like as like Jinder Mahal bad, because he's such a great worker. It definitely wouldn't be that bad, but definitely a champion that wouldn't have been taken seriously in the WWE. Maybe along the lines of a Kofi Kingston, because we love the Kofi Kingston story, but he was treated so poorly as a champion. And of course, let's not forget how he lost that championship. I could have seen something very similar happening to Cesaro. I love Cesaro, and I wish him nothing but the best now that he's over in AEW as the Ring of Honor world champion over there. The Ukraine. We have Vladimir Kozlov, who for a while was kind of pegged as the next big foreign monster in the WWE, beating the likes of The Undertaker and challenging for the WWE Championship versus Triple H. Like, this man was immediately catapulted to the moon, and then it was very clear and evident that he really lacked the in-ring skills to be able to be at that top level like those other guys that I mentioned. Vladimir Kozlov started off his career super strong, and within a couple of years he was in a dancing tag team with Santino Marella. Wales, not a lot here. You got Tegan Knox, okay. And the one you've all been waiting for, the hardest one to pick from, is the United States of America. Look, literally, like, all of the biggest WWE superstars are from the United States of America. Like, the entire Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling is from the United States. This is a borderline impossible choice. So I tried to pick the choice that best represents multiple eras of professional wrestling, because, you know, I could have gone Stone Cold, but he's really a representation of the Attitude Era. I could have gone John Cena. He's a representation of the PG era / Ruthless Aggression era. Roman Reigns. But the one guy who has been through it all, has been a mainstay in multiple generations of professional wrestling, has done it all, is iconic, and has done things that some of those other guys that I'm listed couldn't even dream of doing. It had to be The Undertaker. You know, we've got the WrestleMania streak, Royal Rumble winner, multiple time world champion, closing out multiple WrestleManias. Like, this man really has done it all, and he managed to do all of these things across multiple decades in the WWE, headlining WrestleManias in the 2010s, in the 2000s, and in the 90s. Like, he's the only one that I'm able to say confidently did all of those things. So yeah, Undertaker has to be the best representation of professional wrestling to come out of the United States, but literally there's so many options here. Anyways, that's it. All right, that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.